Hey everybody, and welcome to the Phantom Trading community. This video is not designed for you to get a greater insight into the Phantom Trading team, nor to understand our global vision and where we believe we'll be taking Phantom Trading community across the globe, hopefully in the next 6, 12, 18 months. This video is designed for Brad and myself just to give you a quick overview of the Euro Sterling trade that we took earlier today. Now, to many of you, it would have seemed like quite a risky play based on the bearish momentum and the volatility that we've been experiencing in the cross currencies of the Euro and the Sterling. However, there are so many different elements and key pieces that make up our strategy and make up our edge. One of them I'm going to be slightly evolving and delving into for you today, and I will ever so slightly cover one of the additional topics as well. Now, without further ado, as you can see on the screen in front of you, we've got a basic schematic. Now, this has evolved from the methodology of the Wyckoff theory. Now, Wyckoff has been in the markets, tried and tested for many years, in excess of 100, and he's actually up there and considered one of the best theoretical technical analysts and traders and investors, alongside Jesse Livermore and the Dow. What we're actually looking at on the screen in front of us here is a phase of accumulation. Now, it isn't what we would consider as the basic phase of accumulation, because it's actually missing one fundamental area, which is known as the spring. This is actually considered the second phase of a accumulation, something that's slightly harder to spot. The reason for that is because it comes from a previous sign of strength. So the theory behind this phase of accumulation in particular is that it doesn't have that last move to the downside, creating that spring action. The reason behind it is because the institutional buyers don't want the price to move any lower in order for anyone to acquire any more of said asset class. So they actually allow it to go from the sign of weakness all the way through to the LPS and above. Now, what we'll actually do very, very quickly within regards to this phase of accumulation is we'll just quickly glance and delve into what all of these abbreviations mean. Now, as you can see, we've come from a downtrend. We're in a bearish market or a bearish momentum phase. The PS stands for preliminary supply. The SC stands for selling climax. The AR is considered as an automatic reaction off of this area of resistance here. The ST stands for secondary test, so it's testing the level of supply in relation to the climate action, and hopefully it establishes the end of phase A. UA stands for up thrust action. As you can see, it's broken the automatic reaction ever so slightly to the upside, and it's created a potential new area of resistance. And of course, we've then moved back inside the accumulation phase and move down to the ST as so. So ST stands for secondary test as sign of weakness. And again, that's to test the level of supply in relation to the climate action. And hopefully, again, it's establishing the end of phase A and the beginning of phase B. So when we actually look at the construction of the cause, which is phase B, sometimes we'll get the spring. We'll also have a test spring. But more likely than not, depending on what phase of accumulation we're in, specifically the secondary phase, which is this one here, you've got the LPS, which is the last point of support. Last point of support moving up, bullish to the upside, and then we have a break up, and then back, break up, edge of the creek, right? So here is the creek, which is obviously an area of two elements of resistance. Before that, we've got the sign of strength, and then we have another last point of support before moving to the upside. Now, all of these phases come from the fundamental laws of the Wyckoff theory, which we as a company are going to be covering throughout the Phantom Trading community's educational packages and all of our resources. And of course, there will be a PDF guide supporting the Wyckoff methodology. But just to clarify, in terms of the three fundamental laws of Wyckoff, they are the following: the law of supply and demand, the law of cause and effect, and the law of effort first result. And of course, we'll see, hopefully, as I delve into Euro Sterling, just how apparent and clear they are in multiple time frames across multiple asset classes. Now, we're actually going to take a look at Euro Sterling on the 1 minute time frame, was where Brad and I actually executed this position from, after conducting multi-time frame and top-down analysis in Euro Sterling to establish a point of execution and interest. Now, taking a look at Euro Sterling on the 1 minute time frame, it isn't textbook, it isn't utopian, and it isn't a vanilla setup based on the drawing and the graphic image that I just showed you on the previous image. But what it actually shows you is granular information and a breakdown of just how clear and how much clarity the Wyckoff methodology can actually provide you in your trading. Now, like all things, there are flaws and there are weaknesses within the Wyckoff methodology, which Brad and I will delve into and cover throughout the community, through the questions, through support that we receive, and of course in later videos and evolving guides and documents surrounding Wyckoff. But if we actually take a look at Euro Sterling, we have on a higher time frame a PS, a preliminary support or preliminary supply. We have the seller's climax. Yes, we have the UA, the secondary test as a sign of weakness which breaks below the previous areas, and of course we have almost a secondary second test, followed by last point here all the way up to the upside, and of course a break of the creek and a break up to the edge of the creek before moving again to the sign of strength and all the way to the upside. Now I'm actually going to zoom out very quickly just to show you the overall picture. Now we're still running the Euro Sterling trade quite nicely. As you can see, it's making higher highs and higher lows, and it's a really nice opportunity, especially on a Friday. The reason we took full advantage of that is because liquidity and volatility were high, and what we actually noticed, if I zoom back into the 1 minute time frame, is the volume. So just before we got in, we could see that during this period of accumulation that the demand and volume was actually decreasing, which is a typical sign that we are moving into a phase of accumulation, supply is drying up, and that we are looking to break out to the next phase of the markup, which is of course an element of the Wyckoff theory. But Wyckoff theory is only one of the key fundamentals within our strategy. Now of course what I'll actually do is I'll zoom in for you, and this execution wasn't the greatest, but in terms of actually how we got in, I'll take it. Especially, we could have actually tightened up our risk in terms of our R, so we could have actually reduced our stop to 5 pips, taking into consideration the spread on Euro Sterling with our broker TO Markets. However, we actually had an increased spread of 10 pips just purely because of the tight accumulation range that we was in, and of course being a Friday we wanted to make sure that we was actually going to get into this trade and have enough room to breathe with a small amount of drawdown should we see some. When we was actually looking at the phase of accumulation, many of you may not be aware of this, but Brad and I will cover this. It's order blocks. There are so many different elements of order blocks, and of course we utilize them from the top down, but there was a beautiful order block on the higher time frames, the 4 hour, the 1 hour, and then we refined that all the way down to the 15 minute, 5 minute and 1 minute. Now I genuinely don't want to go too deep into the subject of order blocks because they can be seen and spotted in the market in various different places, but it's about understanding which order blocks hold the greatest weighting, the greatest strengths, and it comes of course with experience. It also comes from a top-down approach. We're looking at higher time frame structures, we're looking at higher highs, higher lows, and of course in a descending trend, in a bearish trend with bearish momentum, we're going to be looking at lower highs and lower lows. But when you're actually going down your analysis from a top-down approach on the weekly, the daily, the 4 hour, the 1 hour and so forth, we're factoring in all of the structure from the higher time frame. So disregard the weekly and the monthly for now, and let's focus specifically on the daily. We're going to be looking at the structure of the daily time frame. Are we in a bullish trend? Are we in a bearish trend? Now, with Euro Sterling in particular, we was following a phase of distribution, a bearish momentum market, but with signs of strength with further upside. Hence, the accumulation was coming into play. The order block that we looked at was refined all the way down to the 15-minute, and then we executed within the 5-minute. But it has been known, and Brad and I have perfect examples where we've actually even gone to the finest of granular details and found price inefficiencies and order blocks on the 15 and 5-second time frames. Now, I don't advise or even recommend or even guide anyone within the phantom trading community to do that unless you're full-time or considered professional traders, because there is so much noise, and unfortunately it can be a detriment to your own trading journey and trading success. Brad and I are completely comfortable with aiding and guiding you from the higher time frames all the way down into the 15-minute, the 5-minute and the 1-minute. However, within the Wyckoff theory and order blocks, because it's used across multiple asset classes and multiple different time frames, it suits every type of investor. Be you a swing trader, a position trader, a momentum trader, a scalper, an intraday trader. So order blocks can be used and traded off of the 1-hour time frame, and the Wyckoff theory can be traded off the weekly time frame. It all depends on risk versus reward, relative risk to reward as well, and of course your time horizon as an individual. Now, the greatest thing about the phantom trading community is we're not only going to be delving into how to trade the financial markets on a day trader, swing trader, intraday basis, but we're also going to be opening up the opportunities for all of you to actually understand how to diversify your portfolios and actually look at longer term investment periods of accumulation into equities for the longer term to seek alpha through absolute returns in dividend yielding equities or growth equities, so that we can actually start positioning people's portfolios. That may be a little bit far-fetched for the phantom trading community at the moment. However, one of the visions is to create a global trading community that has complete professional support, transparency and honesty to actually go and succeed in the financial markets and take your investment and trading journey to the next level. So without kind of delving too much off of the subject, going back into Euro Sterling, our execution, as you can see, was executed around here, spot 89.51 I believe our key execution was. Give me 1 second. Yeah, spot 89.51 too. We're currently running at 38.7 pips, and our stop loss is 38.6 pips away from current price. Price is obviously trading at spot 89.9 at the present moment. So if I actually now zoom out, we had a beautiful break to the upside, nice SOS sign of strength, and we've continued to the upside. And then of course we've gone into another phase of reaccumulation, push to the upside, sign of strength, back up to the edge of the creek, and again last point of support, then sign of strength to the upside again. Now we're actually planning on holding this into Friday close, into New York close. However, the way the market's starting to move now, we are moving quite correctively in a descending manner to the downside, so we now have to look at this in a more granular view. Let me zoom out to the 1 hour just to see if we can get any idea what's going on. So we've actually now got a really big bearish Marabuso candle. It's not necessarily or yet considered as an engulfing candle, because you can see the previous bullish green candle is somewhat larger and still engulfs the current 1 hour candle. However, bearing in mind we are heading into Friday, and of course liquidity starts to dry up, hedge funds, investment banks, institutional offices start to balance their portfolios and their books heading into the weekend, because we still have global pandemics and of course macroeconomic issues at play, and unfortunately holding risk over the weekend still has a high degree of risk, unfortunately, and exposure to your portfolio. So Realistically, if momentum continues to the downside, we will look to crystallize and liquidate the profit of euro sterling. That being said, we've already taken 1% risk off of the table, so we've actually crystallized 1% profit in euro sterling. And as I speak, we're running at 1.945% on the remaining balance of the position. So just under a total of 3% running on the position, or total of 3% gain, total R of 3%. But guys, I really hope you have enjoyed a quick breakdown of the euro sterling position we've taken. Brad and I are working tirelessly to finalize and refine the last few pieces to the Phantom trading community, which we're excited to launch very shortly. So please keep your eyes peeled over the weekend for the official drop. And of course, upon launch of the community, Brad and I are actually going to be doing an insight into our experience, our combined 20 plus years professional trading experience and retail professional trading experience. And we'll also be looking at delving deeper into the strategy, into our edge, into the methodology, and the 3 different elements within Phantom trading community, so that you guys understand what true transparency means from a professional trading community. And we welcome each and every one of you within the Phantom community. So have a lovely day, guys. Enjoy your weekend, and remember to spend it with your friends, family, and loved ones.